Hi, everyone. Okay, before we begin, I just want to pause for a moment and take a breath. Okay, now ask yourself this honestly. When was the last time you felt truly heard? So many of us move through life feeling unseen, unheard, and emotionally drained. Not because we don't care, but because we've been giving our time, energy, and love away without protecting ourselves. It's normal. Over time, that starts to disconnect us from who we really are. I know that feeling deeply. For much of my life, I stayed in spaces and relationships where I felt unheard. Sometimes because I hoped things would change. Sometimes because I didn't yet believe I deserved better. And what I learned is this: when you don't feel heard long enough, you start abandoning yourself. That's where the real work begins. For me, one of the first steps in taking my power back started with self-love, something Brene Brown speaks so beautifully about. She says, daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. Okay, that's important. Who gives a shit? That hit me hard because I realized I was more afraid of disappointing others than I was of disappointing myself. What was I thinking? I had to look in the mirror and ask, do I love the person I see here? Am I honoring her or constantly asking her to be smaller so others feel comfortable? Self-love isn't a buzzword. It's an inside job. And if you don't love who you see in the mirror, that's not something to shame. It's simply information. It means it's time to turn inward and begin to work the work gently and honestly. Once that self-love started to grow, something else followed. Awareness. This is where Henry Cloud's perspective changed everything for me. He teaches that we change our behavior when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing. Take a moment to let that sink in. Okay, and that's the moment many of us recognize patterns we can no longer ignore. I started noticing the same situations, repeating the same emotional exhaustion, and the same feeling of giving and still not being met. And here's the important part. Many of the people or places draining me weren't doing it intentionally. Some didn't even realize that they were hurting me. But awareness teaches you this truth. Internal doesn't cancel impact. Intent doesn't cancel impact. Walking away or stepping back takes strength. And when you do, something powerful happens. You take strength away from the hurt and you give it back to yourself. You stop bleeding energy into places that cannot receive it. That's not selfish. That's self-preservation, which brings me to empowerment. And this is where Jay Shetty's words resonate deeply with me. He says, when you don't set boundaries, you allow the world to decide how you live. Okay? How do you live? How do you want to live? Your timeline is the most valuable thing you'll ever own. You can't earn more of it. Get that? You can't. You can't buy it back. And when you're constantly trying to be seen or heard by people, places, or situations that emotionally drain you, you're handing your time and your power away. Empowerment begins when you stop chasing validation and start choosing alignment. When you protect your time, when you honor your energy, when you stop outsourcing your worth. And here's the truth. I want you to hear clearly. If someone makes you feel unheard, unseen, or diminished, and they continue to do so, that is not your responsibility to fix. Your responsibility is to protect yourself. You don't need to be hard. You don't need to harden your heart. You don't need to explain yourself endlessly. You don't need permission to choose peace. You just need self-love, awareness, and the courage to reclaim your time. So here's my invitation to you. This week, set one boundary. Just one. It might be your time. It might be your energy. It might be saying no where you've always said yes. Start small, start honest, and remember, boundaries aren't walls, they're doors that decide what gets access to you. You deserve to be heard, you deserve to be respected, and you deserve a life that feels like your own. You deserve to live the life you love and love the life you live. That is why I am a love and light life coach. Because I firsthand experience know what it's like to go from treading water to smooth sailing. It's possible, I promise you. If you feel like you need help to figure these things out, that's what a life coach like me does. They help you find smoother water to sail so you can live a better life. For a free consult, just hit me up and we can chat. As always, though, I'm always sending you guys so much love and so much light. Till next time, bye.